Oh boy, Young Thugman, that's my favorite rap man.
Yeah, that's how he would have said it. Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Young Thug album, Barter 6. Young Thug, Atlanta rapper who is one of the fastest rising, hottest, most popular, and newest faces in Southern hip-hop right now, as far as buzz and hype goes. And that buzz was partially built off of a couple singles that were doing really well for Thug a couple of years ago, songs like Danny Glover or Some More. But he was at it even before that with his I Came From Nothing mixtapes. He also has connections to the 1017 Brick Squad, which of course includes Gucci Mane, Waka Flocka Flame, Chief Keef, among many others who are mostly Southern rappers, but if not Southern rappers, they kind of have a Southern or a trap rap sound. Kind of forgettable delivery on a lot of the tracks on these early I Came From Nothing tapes, a lot of Lil Wayne influence. To me, he just kind of sounded like another Atlanta rapper in 2011. But he started to experiment with this particular delivery that you might hear every once in a while in his early stuff, this mixture of rapping and this very nasal, high-pitched, yelpy singing. Young Thug had kind of stumbled upon something with this delivery, and as he started to hone it more and define his style by it more, I think he was moving into more, I guess, unique territory. You knew when you heard Young Thug on a verse, even though his Lil Wayne influence was still very much apparent. And I'm sorry to keep bringing Lil Wayne in this Young Thug review, but he doesn't impact Young Thug's career in just a musical influence kind of way, also in sort of a music business kind of way. Young Thug has been signed by, I'm guessing is also supported by, and is managed by Birdman of Cash Money Records, co-founder of Cash Money Records, who for a while was kind of a mentor to Lil Wayne. However, currently, Birdman and Wayne are not on good terms from what I understand, because Cash Money Records has essentially shelved Lil Wayne's new album, The Carter 5. And watching all of this drama unfold has been like watching Monday Night Raw. In the middle of all of it, I just kind of see Birdman as just being a businessman at the end of the day. He has essentially put on the back burner this artist who used to be more successful in favor of pushing out there another artist who currently translates to the generation of people Lil Wayne used to translate to in the 2000s with albums like The Carter, and The Carter 2, and The Carter 3, and the incredibly prolific mixtape gauntlet he had released in that time frame as well. Lil Wayne's latest releases have not really been received all that well by critics, by fans, nor are they terrorizing the pop charts like his older material used to. Considering how money-oriented Birdman is, are we really all that surprised that he would just kind of throw Lil Wayne's new album into the recycle bin and just kind of, you know, put all of his money into Young Thug's career instead? Again, right now Young Thug commands that demographic, commands the attention of the demographic that Lil Wayne used to in the 2000s, whether it be through his Instagram, where people are constantly freaking out over his clothing decisions. He's also been kind of hush about his personal life, and people have brought up all these questions of his sexuality. And Birdman essentially capitalized on all of this hype musically by coming together with himself, Rich Homie Quan, another Southern rapper, and Young Thug, bringing all of these people together under the Rich Gang umbrella and putting out a pretty popular mixtape last year, as well as a tour. Songs like Tell 'Em and Givenchy, and especially Lifestyle, have been incredibly huge hip-hop songs. So Young Thug and Birdman are doing a lot of numbers right now. And with a new album around the corner, they decided to sort of drive a final nail into the coffin as far as this Young Thug Lil Wayne drama is concerned, and name Young Thug's upcoming project The Carter 6, going off of Lil Wayne's Carter series and kind of breaking his balls about his project being shelved. However, over a potential suit, from what I understand, the idea of that has been totally just thrown out, and instead we're getting this project over here named Barter 6. I know I haven't talked about the music on this album yet, but there's just so much drama and just BS building up to the release of this LP. And the reason that it's worth noting is that Birdman has orchestrated an incredible PR campaign with a combination of just drama as a result of this Lil Wayne beef and just kind of keeping people in the dark about Young Thug personally and what exactly this album is going to do, how it's going to sound. And what's also odd about it is that it seems like in the digital age, a lot of artists, both underground and mainstream, are kind of totally foregoing that hype cycle thing and just releasing their albums to the public out of the blue, just bam, you got it. So there is kind of a question of whether or not this album is actually going to live up to the hype, live up to the hate that has fueled this whole hip-hop media circus thus far. And now that the album is here and I'm listening to it, as far as the content, musical content, it's nothing really all that surprising given Young Thug's previous material. But that does not mean it's terrible. There are some people who hate Young Thug because he really doesn't really stand for anything except for just a load of hip-hop cliches. Haters, bitches, sex, money, that sort of thing. And he explores these themes so generically, I just feel like as an artist, I know literally nothing about him because everything he says is just so cliched. I mean, on this album, there is like a Michael Brown reference. He talks about at one point the people who he knows personally, who he does this for. But really, maybe it's not anything worth wondering about because I don't really think Young Thug tries to make personal or emotional music or anything like that, at least when it comes to what he says. There is certainly something melodic and ballad-like about the tracks on this project. A lot of the instrumentation here, the beats, are trap music influenced. You get those rattling hi-hats, you get that heavy sub-bass, but the instrumentals are very sparse. They're skeletal a lot of the time. They're vast. There's a lot of reverb on these instrumentals. And Young Thug kind of takes advantage of this added space by getting a little more ambitious with his singing, which a lot of the time is raspy, it's emotive, kind of passionate, and he has a pretty good command of pitch, which is more than I can say for some rappers that try to sing. There are a lot of tracks on this project where I actually come away from the melodies that Thugger sings thinking they're pretty catchy, like the song Dream, or Dome, or the track Check, or the opening track, Constantly Hating. And again to the lyrics on this project, while they're nothing to praise, they're nothing to focus on, they're not what Young Thug is trying to impress you with, to just say this album sucks because the lyrics aren't good is kind of lacking to appreciate the fact that this album really isn't about lyrics. So while I do feel that way, I think that Young Thug's style works well in a single capacity. To sort of listen to this just incredible lack of substance for the length of an entire album gets kind of, I don't know, boring. And it's not even just a lack of substance. Like, it's not like inside I really want Young Thug to be addressing some super important, urgent social issues. It's nothing like that. It's that when Young Thug says things, they're not even clever or funny or impressive in any way. Like one line saying, PS3, I'm not playing, which just kind of feels like a cheaper version of something that Lil Wayne would have actually made to be funny 10 years ago. So while there's nothing special about Young Thug's lyrics on this record, the selling point really is his delivery. That runs kind of thin. And what also doesn't help is that on that Rich Gang mixtape, you had some huge, just like radio smash choruses. No song on this album is written quite as well as like the song Lifestyle, for example. This record, in comparison with the Rich Gang mixtape, is just very subdued. It's chill, it's laid back. The instrumentals and Thug's delivery are very intoxicating, to the point where nearly every person who appears on this project as a guest rapper or singer just sounds high out of their minds. And there are times when that goes over really well, like on the song Can't Tell, which out of nowhere features T.I. as well as Boosie Badass. And Thug opens up the track really nicely. There's a bit of a line on here where I think he's taking a shot at Lil Wayne, saying that, you know, I might kill you dead, and call it Dedication, making fun of Lil Wayne's Dedication mixtape series, but also, I don't know. It's just not a good line. There are other tracks on this project I like, though. The song Numbers has an irresistibly catchy melody on it. Young Thug speeds his flow up a lot on the closer here, which was nice. And there was also the song Check, which I thought was put together really well. But even these songs, again, not written quite as succinctly and explosively as some of that Rich Gang material. Just really low-key. Now, there are other tracks on here that I enjoy elements. I think elements of these tracks are catchy, but maybe Young Thug pushes things with his vocals a little too far and the song becomes obnoxious, like with the track Dome, which has one of the better vocal melodies on the record, on the chorus here, but these vocal melodies often devolve into Young Thug just going, whoa, yeah. To his credit, though, this track is actually about something, getting head, which is one of the few moments on this record where it actually seems like Thug is focusing on a certain topic and delivers a handful of lines about one single thing. It just seems like a lot of the time he just, you know, frog lily pad hops from just one rap cliche to another till they all just kind of blend together into this whirlwind of unmemorability. And even though there are some questionable lyrics from Thug on this record, easily worst verse on the album goes to Yak Gotti for his appearance on a track over here, where in the middle of his verse, I am pretty sure he just goes into a coma of some sort, because he just disappears. There are some moments here where Young Thug does show off at least a level of self-awareness, though, where he is addressing haters going after him at a live event, pictures of himself going viral because he's dressed in a certain way. He's also kind of deflecting rumors that he's gay, and even though he does bring this stuff up, he doesn't really put down his haters in a clever or an entertaining way. I mean, it's the equivalent of somebody, you know, who's a troll on the internet typing to you, "You're gay, man," and then you just kind of, you know, come back with, "No, I'm not." Though still, this album, the sound of it does make for a nice, relaxing, kind of druggy atmosphere if you're just not paying attention to the lyrics at all. I don't really think Young Thug's style in general is awful, like some of you may, but what really disappoints me about this record is just its lack of ideas. We have the song With That, where I don't even really feel like I'm listening to a Young Thug song. The song is really just a series of futurisms and Migoisms that just kind of sound like you know, just a B-side off of a Migos tape. Like the song isn't good enough to make the cut of a mixtape with 30 songs on it. The song Amazing is essentially this album's attempt at being sexy, while the song Knocked Off, not really sure we needed another Birdman appearance here, especially with such an awful verse. And then with the track OD, one of the drearier songs here in terms of the instrumental and Young Thug's vocal melody, I just feel a lot of emotional pain on this song, as Young Thug talks about ODing as well as Michael Brown and some other dark things, but it doesn't really come together into a coherent feeling that manifests itself in any kind of lyrical sense, I guess. I just feel some serious sadness on this song, and I wish Young Thug just kind of painted a lyrical picture that also reflected that musical and that you know, vocal sadness that is portrayed on this track. I just wish this album had a larger lyrical component to it, and I'm not looking for him to like go Nas or anything like that, but it's just very apparent on this tape that on the lyrical front, Young Thug does not give a shit. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't even care to write something catchy or charismatic or clever or funny. I wouldn't even say his lyrics are even eyebrow-raising in any sort of way. I mean, some people might hate Young Thug, but in my opinion on this project, he's not really special or stand out enough to hate. I just come away from this project feeling really indifferent. The instrumentals and sometimes the hooks are pretty good, and the vocal melodies too, but as far as Young Thug goes, he just kind of feels like a placeholder, which is kind of funny because at the end of the album, we hear Young Thug saying over and over and over that I might be the realest that you've ever seen. What exactly about this album reflects reality, because Young Thug's reality just feels so shallow and it's so generic in the greater rap landscape that, I mean, being real isn't really a challenge. I mean, when your reality is unique and it goes against people's worldviews, I mean, that's when it's hard to be real. And Young Thug, I think, had an opportunity to bring that reality forward. I mean, there's certainly been a lot of drama just stirred up around him over the past few months in regards to the way he dresses, Lil Wayne, his place in hip-hop, but he makes no attempt to address any of that whatsoever and just kind of sidesteps it or tries to take it head on with a really bad lyric. So, I mean, no, there's nothing really that interesting about this record. There are a handful of tracks that I think are catchy and maybe I would even return to, namely the song with T.I. or Check or Numbers. But again, Young Thug, I think, has kind of exposed himself on this album as just, you know, a one-trick pony. If he's going to come out with another project in the future, he's going to have to offer more ideas and angles than this. And, you know, maybe even a bigger, more explosive song that might be up to the level of some of the catchier tracks on that Rich Gang mixtape. I'm feeling a strong 4 to a light 5 on this thing. Transition. If you've given this album a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, music forever.